We did a video called Betas versus Alphas. It was on Jubilee, right? And in that video, so when you think of like men that are like that have an overabundance of testosterone, it's typically a personality trait that coincides with it, right? And in that video, almost all of the men who claimed they were alphas, who had a measurable boost of testosterone, all desired to have multiple female partners or polygamy or some sort of that where they slept with multiple women. The men who had a decrease, who identify as betas, who we would view maybe as more feminine, all desired monogamy. And that's kind of where I grabbed that, like from that small sample size. If you watch, it's a really interesting video. If y'all check it out, it'll really make you like just think. If you look at it from the lens of what do these men have in common? What do these men have in common? Why are they ideologies like this? Why are they ideologies like this? And the ideologies were more similar to what women would describe than the men who didn't have it. Yeah,
Well,
it's really interesting.
yeah, I think that also the correlation needs to be made with, what is different about the betas and the alphas, because with a lot of the betas, and I hate that term for them, a lot of them have low self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that correlates with the decrease in testosterone levels. So, you know what I mean? You having a raw deal in life, or feeling like you've always been unattractive, or you hate yourself, you have lower testosterone. So when you do find somebody, you latch onto that person, you become dependent on them, and it is easier for you to be faithful because you have less of a
Mm-hmm.
drive. But it also leads that you get more as you go on in a relationship. You begin to get more confident. Maybe you start going to the gym and working out, and then you notice the increase, and then what ends up happening is you
Yeah.
head down that road.
Look, you know what? One of the craziest things about that video, the men who identified as betas, and I don't like the terms either. I'm using them because they were used in the video. The men who identified as betas said they felt pressured by society to date multiple women, and they absolutely didn't want to do it, but they felt the societal pressure. And the men who identified as the alphas said they felt pressured to have monogamy, and they absolutely didn't want to do it. So that's adding another layer onto that. It was really interesting to watch.
Well, it's about your leverage, man. What you can indulge in with the further, sort of like what he was saying when he talked about attraction. Without me even looking at that video or reading any books, man, just my experience in life and being around many men and getting at women. And it's a different type of energy. You could see it in the guys who actually look charming, they look decent and carry themselves well, or aggressive at getting more women, and they're less likely to want to be able to buy into monogamy because of the leverage they have and the type of women they can attract and how frequent they can have sex. So it's like, okay, what are my options? Versus a guy who's, like he said, wasn't in the gym, is out of shape, his clothes aren't really that good, he look like crap. He's gonna be more inclined to be in a monogamous relationship. But once you've done the work,
I,
once you put in the work and you
I think
grind
that
yourself and level yourself up, your image, your mind, all that stuff, as you said, the self-esteem comes with it. And then later, this testosterone comes, and then now you see yourself open to being with multiple women.
doesn't that really just fall right into like scarcity of mindset versus abundance mindset? Like because I mean, if you're presented with all these options, it's natural for you to just understand that, well, I got a lot to pick from, right? So you're not going to invest as much stock in one particular woman because you understand that you have access to so many versus a man that has a scarcity mindset would more likely latch on to one particular woman because that's a safer bet, right? It's almost like uh, like how they say two birds in a bush, or you know what I mean, a bird in their hand versus two in the bush, because they like, okay, well, I know I got something, right? I need to invest in this and hold on to this because they know odds are to get another woman interested and invested in them again is going to be a lot tougher for them. So I think that's where a lot of that comes in. That's why these guys might more so be able to relate like that because they aren't presented with so many options. If you have a bunch of women trying to get at you, why would you just think to say, oh, well, you know what? Now let me let me just go ahead and do this. And that problem, like Nelson mentioned earlier, a lot of people grow into that, right? And I feel like men have to be careful when they get married early or young. Like if you get married and you like 19, 20, I know some guys that did that, 19, 20. It's like, damn, you make the commitment and you want to do the right thing, but you may not have become the man that you were, or you might have just fell into someone else's ideology. You might have learned whether it would have been church or your parents' influence and everything, and you might have saw that this was supposed to be the way to go, and you might have thought that was the right thing to do. You went and developed yourself as a man, and you're like, damn, now look at what I can do, and you just start to think different, right? You just like, damn, this ain't really it. What am I doing? And then especially if we start with the combination of what else you talked about, Nelson, where it's like, she fell off and now she don't want to do this. And then homegirl winking at you around the corner. You like, man, what am I supposed to do? She's over here. She out here lacking. And then I got people putting pressure on right now. It's a tough decision for a lot of men, right? Because there's things that if we want to call them needs or whatever, we'll just say desires, right? And a lot of women don't acknowledge that or care to fulfill that because they're comfortable. They're where they want to be already. And they start getting lax and you like, yo, but I kind of need this. And then, of course, you get the women who try to use it as a reward system or try to make you wait till like birthdays and special occasions and stuff like that, thinking it's going to be cool. It's not going to work. It's not going to work on every guy. Certain guys will put up with that because that's the best they can get. But if that is not the best that guy can get, if he's getting offers, it's like, damn, you're still a human being. You're going to be out here. So, I mean, we can antagonize men all we want with that, right? And I don't tell men that they should cheat. I'm right here with what Bruiser and White was talking about. We saying that you should be honest about what it is that you want. But what do you say to a person who has maybe changed their thinking process, right? And the female is really not trying to hear that at this point. What would you tell a man who has later on came to the conclusion that that's what it is that he wants to do, but he didn't go into the situation like that? Yeah,
You need to get out. You need to run.
Oh, could you describe that again, Trey?
Okay, so the scenario, let's say I was like 19, 20 years old, found a chick that felt like I was madly in love with, get married, right? A couple kids in, right? Finances tied together. She's slacking altogether. Now we have to take into consideration that USA does not make it that easy for you to just be like, oh, you know what? I'm about to start dating another one, or I'm about to be out, right? Because now you're kind of screwed if you try to do that, wouldn't you say? Because it's like, all right, now I don't get to see my children ever again. Now I'm about to lose all this bread, retirement, 401k, like everything else, all your savings, all your assets now are split. Now instead of that 4-bedroom house you got, now you're going to be in a 1-bedroom studio away from your children and everything else because you chose to fulfill your own needs because she wouldn't. What would you say to that?
I think it. I think I don't like it when men get married early. Early 20s or 19, anything like that. Just because I think the key thing that needs to be developed is character. So like I was saying with those values before, with the integrity, loyalty, kindness, wisdom, all that stuff, all those play together to help keep you on the right track. You have to have a moral foundation that, one, it is not okay to cheat, and two, like I want to be a faithful person. Because when things get tough, when she is slacking on things, when she's not giving it up like she used to be, when she's not working or bringing anything into the house to where you end up feeling like she doesn't contribute to your life in any way, and now you want to leave, but you're only staying because of the kids or because of the cost of it. How you approach repairing your marriage and repairing your life is key. Like there's nothing else other than having integrity and having faithfulness. Like you got to rely on that because love is not we keep getting love confused with this feeling. Love is a set of actions that we are committing to do with this one person for our lifetime. So, yeah, I don't, I probably went off on a tangent, but did that kind of answer what you were talking about?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. The only part that I would present to you is that it takes two to tango, right? So let's say that you were really willing to go ahead and make this work, but you're with an individual who's not so cooperative, right? Because you can only control what you can do. And I talk to a lot of gentlemen, and they tell me like, "Damn, man, no matter what I try, try to do the counseling situation, try to talk to her, try to plead with her, and she just don't give a damn." And then you're stuck in this place, and you realize that you made a bad choice, but maybe you didn't have that type of parenting to prepare you for it. Maybe you didn't have those mentors to let you know what to look out for, right? I try to do that. Most of us gentlemen on the planet, we try to talk to the youth and put them down on game and give them signs and all that. But there are some men who we unfortunately could not have reached, and they're now in this very sticky situation, and they don't know what to do.
They got and you talking about a marriage situation, right?
Yes.
Oh, well, you got to redo your vow. It's time to redo your vows.